I'm going to show you 3 clay techniques. The first thing you will have is a large ball of clay. I would like you to start by pulling off some of that clay from the large ball and putting the ball to the side. The first technique that I'm going to show you is how to roll a ball. So you started with a big clump or ball of clay. Now you're going to roll a smaller ball of clay. So after you pull off the piece of clay, you're going to pull off another small piece of clay. And what I would like you to do is practice rolling 2 balls. I'm going to show you 2 different ways. The first way is to simply place it in your hand and rub your hands or roll your hands together in a circle motion, almost like a clock. So I'm just rolling my hands together. And sometimes it takes a little bit of practice. As you roll your hand, you're moving the clay in the palm of your hand so that it makes it a nice, smooth, round ball. The other way you can do it is by taking that clay and placing it on the table and still using that round motion, press down a little bit and roll onto the table. And as you get going, you will soon again have a smooth, round ball. So that is how to make a ball out of clay. The next technique I'm going to show you is called a coil. So again, I'm going to start with my large clump of clay and I'm going to pull off a piece of clay. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it right in my hand. And with my fingers, I'm just going to close and squeeze the clay. I'm going to open it up, roll it a little bit, and squeeze the clay. So I'm going to just do that a couple times so that my clay now turns into what I call a fat slug. We don't want a fat slug. We want a long coil. So after I have placed it in my hand and closed it to make that fat slug, I'm going to place it onto my table. Now, with my fingertips all the way down my hand to the end of my palm or bottom of my hand, I'm going to roll the clay forward and backward. If I press down too hard on the table, my slug is going to get flat like a pancake. I don't want that to happen. I want my slug to turn into a nice coil or a snake. So starting with my fingertips on the slug, I'm going to push it forward and press down a little bit until it gets to the end of my hand, and then I roll back. So I'm using the whole table, going back and forth. As I do that, you can see that it's starting to get smoother and longer. It's also getting skinnier. As it gets bigger, I can then use both hands, rolling back and forth, going from the middle to the ends. This is called rolling a coil. It can again take a little bit of practice. So now I have a ball, a coil, and the next one starts with a coil. So I'm going to move these to the side and I'm going to start again. I'm going to pull this off. This one's going to go a little bit quicker, but I'm doing the same technique as a coil. Squeezing it in my fingers, and then with my fingertips to the back of my hand, I'm pressing down and going back and forth. If you're having some difficulty, try standing up so you can use your whole body. Okay, as it gets bigger, I'm using both hands and it will make it longer. Now, what I'm going to do with my coil for this third technique, so I have a ball, I have a coil, I'm going to take my coil And starting at the end, I'm just going to roll it together. This is going to be a spiral. So I'm curling it in, and as I curl it in, I'm just pressing it together, and I'm rolling it all together so that it makes a coil. As I get to the end, I take my finger and I want it to attach, because if it doesn't attach, it will roll back out. So making sure that as I go and I'm pressing it together so that there are no holes like that, when I get to the end, I've got to smooth it into the coil so that it is now attached and it will not come together. So I've showed you from a lump of clay how to create a ball both ways in your hand on the table, how to make a coil, and how to make a spiral.